So I was unemployed at the time. So my farewell was the first Zoom farewell of the agency. And it was 3 or 4 days later, we went into lockdown. So I'm sitting there going, okay.
And that's proper unemployed now.
Nobody's
hiring now.
No,
What do you do?
Exactly. So I'm thinking things like, shit, how do you make money?
I'm Jason Goliath.
And I'm Nicholas Goliath.
And this is a new podcast called The Happiness Economy, where we try and unpack, figure out, investigate, interrogate, I think holistically understand what is happiness even.
What is it to you? What is it to me? Is it different? Is it the same? What do you do to chase your happiness? Just chase it. We want to chat to people who we believe have found their happiness or are on the way to finding their happiness and find out what it is that makes them happy.
So, if you're happy, we're happy. The Happiness Economy with Nicholas and Jason Goliath. Tell her what you must. Today is a very self-indulgent day on the Happiness Economy. Somebody that makes me happy just by small little things they do. The great advertiser, the prolific marketer, I don't know what you want to call him, the caramel, salt and pepper goodness.
Just don't call him Madala.
Yes, just don't call him Madala. But a wordsmith helping us put happiness into context, Ahmed Tilly. Trust me, you don't want to miss this one. You're the first guest that's here for a very specific reason. Everybody's kind of been here because, and the way we've been kind of setting it up is, we're inviting people who we perceive to be happy to interrogate that, whether that perception is fact, and if it is fact, try to figure out, okay, then what is this happiness made up of? So it's this quest to find a recipe for happiness. And I think the only way you do that.
That's a big question, Jason.
It's a huge
It is
one.
a big question.
And that's exactly why you are
I'll
here.
try and be as honest as I can.
That's exactly what I want.
No, we
and
want
even if
honesty.
Yeah,
Brutal.
totally. I mean, I know no other way, but if you ask someone, are they happy?
Yes.
It's the obvious answer is yes, because you don't want to complain.
Or the obvious answer is no, but you can't say it.
Yes.
No, but that's
and
exactly
what I'm
right.
saying.
The correct answer is I don't know. Because most people go, I don't even know what makes me happy.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So we developed this from during lockdown, just discussing our happiness, and
I think it's a dope topic.
we found happiness and how we managed to kind of break it down and understand what the key points to finding your happiness are.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and it literally started with a bit of a chat, a bit of an idea, and my obsession with happiness, and then me going, okay, well, let me talk to somebody who makes me happy, and also seems to understand my brand of happiness. You know what I mean? Because I think it's obviously a very subjective thing, just like success. What is your definition of success? What is your definition of happy? But we then very quickly picked up the fact that we're in this crazy time of social media where everybody presents as happy. And
100%.
when everybody's presenting as happy, if you are looking at somebody else's happiness, you can also assume that if that makes them happy, it's going to make me happy. So then it changes what your aspirations are, what your dreams are. And the reason you are here today is you're a profound human being. You've done amazing things. You've won awards. You've created ad campaigns, and I think personally, you are one of those people that's a lifetime achievement award in advertising for a contribution to change narratives and thought patterns. But that's not why I asked you to come. I asked you to come because your social media is lit. If somebody wants to figure out happiness, I'm just like, go and follow Ahmed. And very specifically, so recently you started posting quotes, and we'll chat about that. But where I want to start is here. Ahmed posts these pictures, right? And I'm hoping we'll bring one up on the screen now by the magic of TV. So he posts these pictures of picture like remember when we went to Montreux? And the first time we walked out onto that hotel balcony, which looks over Lake Geneva and onto Mount Evian, where they bottle the water, and it's one of those. So Ahmed will post a picture just of that, and then the comment just goes here ? Let's start there. What is that? Why do you post that? And why do I immediately know what you mean? But I want you to say it.
Okay, so that started in COVID. Let me just give you some context.
Okay.
because I think the context means
Everything.
Everything. Yeah.
So COVID, as we spoke about a bit earlier, in COVID, I suppose it was the first time in my life I'd felt trapped and claustrophobic.
Yes.
And one of the things that make me happy is beautiful places, like very simple.
Yeah.
So if you see, it's labeled here, but at the bottom I had to start going wishes,
Ah.
right? Hashtag wishes, because people assumed
That you
That's
hear.
where you-
I was, and my personality will not allow me to portray something that I don't believe I am or state of
Yes.
mind. So then I had to put in wishes. So the reason I placed that is put those things up is the places I aspire to be, and connected to this discussion, which is a very personal thing.
Yeah.
It's feelings I aspire to have, right?
Yes.
And I don't think there's anything more beautiful than that moment you described now.
Yeah.
That moment you see something that doesn't make you think, that makes you feel absolute freedom. And that's a moment of, that's pure bliss.
Yeah.
So it's happy and it's extremely sad, right?
Yes. Because I'm not.
Because you're not.
Because I'm not there.
Yeah.
So it's a bittersweet thing. Because I dream of that. I have these dreams of having a place like that somewhere remote
Yes.
and isolated where I can write and eat and sleep
Yes.
and not have to be around people.
Yes.
People make me happy,
Yeah.
but so does solitude. Right?
Yes.
So it's bittersweet. So I aspire to those things, but in that moment I have a split second of something that really blows my mind, my heart, and I just I got to repost that stuff.
So you said there were a couple of people that assumed that that's where you were.
Yeah.
But there were people like me that knew it's COVID. He's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
there. And also look at this picture. We all earned rands. He's definitely not there. You know what I
But
mean?
that's interesting, isn't it, Jason? Because social media is that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's so superficial. People know me,
Yes.
that's not the case.
Yes.
But generally, social media is so superficial that people assume what you put up
100%.
is your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, it seemed obvious to me, but then I realized it wasn't.
No.
It wasn't obvious that I wasn't actually at those places.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a deep.
Can I just, if I can
had to
just,
put it in.
it wasn't obvious that you weren't actually, but I think it would have been more obvious if Nick and I were posting those places. Because when we speak about perceptions, you've had some wonderful titles in your life. When I first was introduced to you, you were, I think, was it head of Black River? And my perception was that you have a cabin somewhere.
Yeah.
Because the perception is that you have that lifestyle. So I feel like you had to then clarify.
Yeah, my titles didn't reflect my bank balance ever.
But that's
And I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No. I was going to say that's the problem is that people see Jason on TV, they see your title. There's an assumption that the title comes with a fat bank balance, that the fame comes with a fat bank balance. So yeah, I'd love to hear more about that.
And it isn't the case. So
Yeah.
so maybe it's also about my personality. Like one of the things I've learned about myself is I'm really shit with money.
Welcome to the club.
I'm getting a tattoo that says, I'm not rich, I'm irresponsible.
Well, I'm good at spending money,
Yeah.
but I'm not very good at not even making money. I'm bad at making money also, but I used to be really bad at getting paid what I was worth.
Yes.
Right? And I think it's got to do with my upbringing.
Yeah.
And a lot of
Humble.
people of color have been
Humble.
brought up to say, you don't go hat in hand, or you don't. See, I said hat in hand.
Yeah.
That's assuming the position of a beggar,
Already.
Yeah.
as opposed to going like,
This is what I'm worth.
this is what I've done, this is what I can do, this is what I'm worth. I was too embarrassed to have those conversations until 3 years ago.
What
So-
changed?
Which when I started my consultancy.
Yeah.
And I suddenly realized that, but the other thing I realized is, as a consultant, and it's a title that I've got to still figure out
Yeah.
what it does. Because there's no such thing as a creative consultant really in my game. But as an advisor or a consultant, right, it's amazing. If you charge properly for it, the advice is worth more. If you charge less for it, same thing like you got to take
Yeah.
a stage, you know
Yeah.
the deal. And so I realized that, number one, I've now collected 26 years of experience
Yeah.
and all the successes that came with it. That is worth something.
Yes.
And therefore, I am worth something.
Yes.
So it's also quite an interesting thing for me with money, realizing. And so the perception, the other thing is, I'm like Mr. Nice Guy, you know? And with that comes this perception that you're Mr. Perfect Guy.
Yeah.
And that doesn't
Yeah.
exist. And number two, that, you know, things just are working for you,
Yes.
right? Because you're kind of like, you're chill with everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't wear your emotions on your
emotions.
sleeve.
Well, I am a very emotional person, and I'm very honest about myself. So I
Yeah.
do believe I wear my heart on my sleeves, or my sleeve. But there's an assumption that everything, like you see someone's track record, and
Yeah.
you see someone's CV,
Ah.
and you have an assumption of who they are and what they're about, whatever. It's the same thing when you look at someone's social media profile.
Yeah.
Right? So if you look at my social media profile, you go like, this guy's got his shit together.
Yes.
Look where he's traveling. All
So-
over the world.
Traveling, and some of the quotes that I put.
Because we're moving to this. So let's then. So what was people's responses to the pictures? Because you then after that started with the quotes that I found. Every one of them is remarkable, so relatable, and almost like you looking for, you know, who wrote this? Like, did you write this? Like that's how remarkable they are. What moved you? So what was people's responses first, and then did that response move you to feel like you've got to put these things up for us?
They were completely random, the two.
Yeah,
The here was at a time at
you felt
COVID.
claustrophobic.
Time of wishing.
The other thing is, in COVID time, there was also Black Lives Matter that
Yeah.
happened, right? Which lit that fire inside of me again.
Mm.
Because ever since I've been doing what I've been doing, you must know, I started in advertising at least post-apartheid, just post-apartheid.
Yeah.
I grew up in apartheid, right? So I was extremely vocal about transforming the industry and doing the right thing from a moral point of view. So I was always very vociferous about those things. And, you know, we made some progress and by no means solved the problem, as we know. But then Black Lives Matter surfaces. And that old flame just like
Yeah.
rises up inside with me. And I became very, very confrontational about it. So I started spewing a lot of words out.
Yeah.
So that was happening at the same time on the one hand. On the other hand, we've got COVID. On the third hand, you know, you're feeling claustrophobic and you want to get out of Gauteng and you're like, what's going to happen? And all of the stuff happened. So for me, it was amazing because Instagram is where I'm most active, right? And on Instagram, I felt like there was a perfect way for me to, my diary
Yeah.
of sorts. And
Yeah.
a diary of the thought, not a diary of my day or my
Yes.
actions.
Yes. It's almost a journal.
It's like a journal because it allowed me to randomly let this shit out. So my claustrophobia led me to this simple life.
Yeah.
That's what it is more than anything else. Is this yearning for a very simple life. And simple doesn't mean basic. Simple means beautiful.
Yes.
But simple. And there's a difference there. So that was really my COVID experience, was like suddenly reassessing everything, like all of us did. What's important?
Yeah. What matters?
What
Who's
matters?
important?
Who's
What-
important?
yeah.
How do you want to spend
And
your
what do I
time?
actually need? Because I think COVID also taught us what we don't need.
Yeah,
We thought we needed
what do I
everything,
actually
and what we
want?
actually need to get by.
That's right, what we need, right? So it forced us.
Yeah.
Because we had to do with what we had.
Absolutely.
What we want was one of the things that it kind of helped us stop and say, okay, right, here's an opportunity for you to think about it.
Yeah.
But also contextually, I had just left the biggest title, like you said,
Yeah.
of my life at FCB.
Yeah.
So I was unemployed at the time. So my farewell was the first Zoom farewell of the agency. And it was 3 or 4 days later, we went into lockdown. So I'm sitting there going, okay.
And that's proper unemployed now. 'cause
Yeah, well, I was-
nobody's hiring now.
No,
Not- like, what do you do?
Exactly. So I'm thinking things like, shit, how do you make money? So now I'm 26 years down the line, right? Built up a career, learned stuff, all of that. And I'm sitting there, I'm going like, how do I make
Money.
money?
Yeah.
So, you know, like whatever, buy and sell stuff, no, you can't do. Make food from home, no, you can't do. So I'm sitting there in my backyard in the south of Joburg in Robertson when I was living there, under a Campmaster gazebo,
Yeah.
and stressed out of my fucking mind.
Of course.
Because I'm going, I've got a family in here.
Yeah.
The
One
news is
income,
tightening.
one income, no salary now.
Yeah.
I was a single income. So anyway, all of the stuff starts melting in your head, right? Which forces you to think. So your feelings really force you to think.
Yeah.
Because when you don't feel, you're not thinking anything, right?
Yeah.
It's only when you have some kind of trauma or some kind of joy or whatever that makes you think.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking about what am I going to do now? And for me, the biggest shift in my life was that period when we couldn't do anything in lockdown. It gave me a chance to not think about what I want to do, but what I don't want to do anymore. And I think that for me was the critical thing. I mean, I wrote basic things down, Jason. I wrote things like, I do not want to be in traffic anymore.
Yeah.
I
And
don't
that's-
want to have to be anywhere. I don't want to waste my time with clients who don't see the value in what I do. I
Yes.
don't.
Yeah.
Now, if you make a column of don'ts, you
Yeah.
find that the do's are exactly the same, the
Yes.
opposite, but the same.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but it was interesting because when you write down your don'ts, you become aware, conscious of what you'll never do again.
So,
And so I'm clinging onto those don'ts.
Ooh.
That's why I started the consultancy.
was it something? So the list of don'ts, was it something that you'd kind of been working on or had an idea of, or was it just a COVID release to try and figure out where you are?
No, I think so I started thinking. I always think about these things, but you never had an opportunity to follow your thought through, right?
Yes.
Because there's
I don't
always
think
the
you
next
have
thing.
No,
the
we,
diary.
Always a
no, we
next
have this.
thing.
We have this
Always,
in a
yeah.
literal form. So with stand up, I mean, somebody criticized Nick the other day. A great comedian, Tatsin Konzo, criticized Nick the other day, and he said, "Your concepts are so great, but you're only scratching the surface. Why are you wasting so much content? You should be unpacking each one of these little thoughts that you have, because the primary thought is hilarious, but if you spend time unpacking all of the different directions that you could take these stories, that's where the real meat is." And it took a while for it to sink into Nick before Nick said to me, "Hey, this whole said this thing," and he's not wrong.
No, he's
Because
so,
the importance of that is I think, very underrated.
he's so right. It's craft, right? So whether
Yeah.
you're doing comedy or you're making ants,
Yes.
you have to. We don't have the time or the single-minded focus, the opportunity to focus single-minded.
Yes.
To see the potential of something through. So what we do I find in the modern world, and I'm obviously referring a lot to what I do for a living,
Yeah.
like in advertising.
Yes, please.
But what we find is because lack of time and money, you tend to settle for what
Adequate.
for the best of what's in front of you.
Yeah.
Because you got to move on to the next thing. If you took that idea that you had, and if I told you got a month to think about nothing else but that thing, you would create absolute gold out of it.
Yeah.
Or
Two
you will
one-man
realize that it has nothing in it.
Yeah.
But we never know because we move on to the next. And if you look at advertising nowadays, bar one or two examples,
Yeah.
the stuff is generally quite shit.
Don't wanna lie.
It's boring.
No, I don't
Like,
know.
I miss the days of exciting ads. Like, I love when I see something that captures my attention, and it's not just here's the product, here's the price. This
Yeah,
is where
there's
you
like
can
a-
get it. Da-da-da.
It's very similar. I always tell when I work with creative people, it's very similar to comedy, right?
Yeah.
In one sense, where you can look at something you've created, and let's say you're supposed to be funny.
Yeah.
You can say that's funny,
Yes.
or you can laugh out loud.
Yeah.
Right? Same like comedy.
Yeah.
When you get your timing right and the joke is exactly on point, whatever it is, and you deliver it the right way, you'll get a laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same joke, not delivered well enough, not the timing's not
True
right.
story.
People will go like, yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. We see what you're
We
trying
see
there.
what you're trying to
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
And advertising's the same. We're looking at things superficially, very like shortism, whatever, and you have to deal with what you have right in front of you and move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
So you never get to see the potential of something. Whereas back in the day, we used to craft a joke.
Yes.
Take
We
your
used to
time.
edit copy,
Polish,
and words, and
send
polish
it back,
craft. I mean,
send it back, rework, fix it, come again, try
do you
again.
think it's a case of just like budgets and time versus, because I feel like in the past, I feel like maybe budget, I don't know. So maybe budgets were more open, or things were more affordable, so you had more time to craft the material, as opposed to now where I feel like everything is a rush. Everything is you've got to get it out now, because if you don't get it out, someone else is going to get it out before you. You know, so it's that kind of.
I think it's that combined with this PC world that we live in, and, and the
yeah.
fear of being
that.
cancelled or interrogated. I mean, we look at. I interviewed people on radio during that Theresa May clicks debacle, and it was huge. And when you scratch the surface, you find out it was actually quite an innocent thing. They just had the wrong person making the decision, and if you have the wrong person making the decision, they could think they're doing the right thing, but they haven't been educated enough.
It is all the things that you're saying true to the world we live in, right? But I think it's because we're too accommodating now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the problem, isn't it? So, there were always rules.
Yeah.
But there were always those who said, I don't give a fuck.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? So there's less people going, I don't give a fuck. And there's more people going, like, I have to do this because whatever.
Yeah.
Because there's
Therefore-
also more people going, we have a problem with that.
Yeah, well, that's
Yeah.
a cancel culture,
Yes.
right? But back then it was the same,
Yeah.
in a sense.
In a
You know,
sense,
we didn't
yeah,
have
yeah.
social media acting on you quickly and canceling you that way. But there were people who always objected to everything.
Yeah.
I mean, when I worked at Black River in the early days, there was no social media. Fuck, believe that.
Thank God.
Before Twitter. Yeah. I mean, I look back at some of those ads, they'd never run now
Yeah.
because
you
of
couldn't.
cancel culture. But also we had a client who understood,
Yes.
or clients who understood the power of being different. This is the other thing.
Was
that I
Nando's?
evangelized.
Because I'm just going to say their
Well-
name out there. But was the brief to push the boundary, or did you assist them over that line?
No. I think Nando's by nature has always been brave, right? They got permission to be brave.
Yeah.
But not everything we did, or not everything that the current people are doing, or past people got it right.
100%.
So there was a fair amount of responsibility for us to push them.
Yeah.
But we did at that point. We had lots of clients on Nando's.
Yeah.
But we did have clients who wanted that, who were open to that, and who pushed us to be even braver. So that definitely pushed the work forward. But also as an agency at that time at Black River, when I was still at Black River, it was the culture of us as a group of people,
Yeah.
right? That we never put something in front of the client that was mediocre or was wallpaper to begin with, because it wasn't who we were.
Yes.
And I always say to creative people, clients can only buy what you put in front of them.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
comedy. You
I was
can't.
gonna say, yeah,
the
yeah,
audience can only receive
Yeah,
what you're going to put
absolutely.
out in front of them. But if you're going to try and kind of read your audience before and then second guess them, 9 out of 10 times you're going to get it wrong because
Yeah.
you're not being authentic.
Absolutely.
And so I think like whether it was Nando's or First for Women, we threw 4 guys off a cliff for an insurance ad.
That's great.
And it's
It
for
was
people.
great.
People forget
Yeah.
that at that time, early 2000s, insurance was like your Vivo 296 for 45-year-old man.
boring.
There was nothing fun.
Absolutely.
So here comes an insurance company and we threw 4 guys off a cliff. So it's insurance and we killed 4 guys in a car.
Great.
You know?
It was great and I say great because I still remember the ad vividly.
Yeah, exactly. But the point was the client went like, let's do this shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the client understood, maybe didn't know marketing. In fact, the person we sold it to was the GM, MD at this day.
Yeah.
Not a marketing person.
Yeah.
But he understood enough here.
It's the feeling.
Yeah.
The
and
feeling
had
that he got when he saw
and,
it. Yeah.
And here
Yeah.
to do it.
But I still feel easier than Nando's because they were with the first product. It's in the name.
Yeah, so
first for women. So they were already breaking rules.
But they weren't.
So no. But I'm saying
As
in
a
terms
nature
of
of
the
a business,
perception,
yeah,
yes,
yeah,
the perception you could never. I mean,
Yeah.
you could. Who before them said no, we're only serving one of you, not all of you. You know what I mean? It was
just a
It was clever business. I mean, then to name the business that and to be that, they were around for 3 years prior to that doing work.
Yeah.
They never got anywhere.
And
In fact, they
then-
were on the way, sort of seemingly.
because I thought they launched with that ad, so they were around for 3 years.
3 years prior to that.
We can talk advertising the
Yeah,
whole day. We
I-
want to
no,
talk.
Yeah, I
happiness.
was gonna say we ended up
Yeah.
So
keeping advertising,
with all of this, I see a lot of passion. But so let me ask you the hard question: do you know what happiness means to you? Do you know what makes you happy?
I know what makes me happy.
What is
I
it?
do. Words make me very happy. Right? Whether I write them or I read them.
Yeah.
Or I see them on TV.
Yeah.
Like I'm that guy.
Yeah.
Who goes like pause.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like my son's into hip hop. He's a big
Yeah.
Eminem fan. even calls himself Slim.
How is Slim? Shout out
But
Slim.
like he's always talking about dropping bars,
Yeah.
right? And I love words. I love
Yes.
the power of what words can do, because words, are feelings. I love words. There's nothing I love more than my morning coffee and first smoke.
Oh, even me.
But it's different now, because I don't rush to work.
Yes.
So there's I'm not trying to be deep and shit, but that morning coffee and first smoke without rushing to get in the car to get to work, just knowing you have that moment is like pure bliss. It's pure bliss.
I find so much, my fro is thinking of we want to move. So the plan is we're moving house in 3 to 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
The criteria for moving is Jason wants somewhere nice to have his coffee in the morning. He wants somewhere to have his coffee with a view. I don't care about the rest of the house. That's how important that and how much happiness I attach to that first cup of coffee, that little time to meditate and make yourself right and think about your life. And not rushing it is a luxury that, as comedians we've been able to afford ourselves. So I
Yeah.
relate so hard. But that's how close I am to it. Like my next house must have the perfect view for my morning cup of coffee.
That's exactly it. Views make me really really happy. Beautiful views. Like, I can't explain it. I don't have to have anything. I just said, this weekend I was in Zim.
Yeah.
We went fishing. It's another thing that
Yeah,
makes me
so we know that views are not your thing. I mean, I'm teasing you.
You're not teasing.
No,
You're
you don't
teasing
know what I
some-
went with.
No, we're always going. Slow clap. I'll give you a slow clap. But some I love you. I'm always teasing.
No,
you.
but it was like that morning sunrise over a dam and a mountain behind you. It's like, and you kind of stepping out of a zipped tent,
Yeah.
right? So there's nothing behind you. There's only what's in front of you,
Yeah.
and it's magic. It's absolutely magical
So,
to have a view, and then to have a coffee and a smoke with it.
come on, it's a trifecta now.
Yeah, no,
that's
that's
what I'm
it.
saying.
You're done.
A guy, a coffee, and a view.
You're
Leave
done.
me alone.
You're done.
Leave me alone. I
So-
said to one of my friends, I want a view, and he said, "Yeah, it's because you want to look down on us." And I said, "No. Why are you making my view about you? It's because I want to be closer to the universe. I don't want to be. It's not about you."
Exactly, and that's what views are. Views is like I'm a religious person, if I want to call it that.
Yeah.
But yeah, views are work. It's work of God, man. You're that close,
Amen.
Yeah.
right? So whatever that view is, you that's a spiritual thing. It's not an aesthetics. It's not aesthetics. It's spirituality.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I find the
Yes.
same about words, and
Yes.
same about family, and same about playing soccer. Those things are spiritual fucking journeys.
Yeah. If you
Right.
take the time to appreciate what you're experiencing,
And here's the thing.
then it's spiritual.
Here's the thing. The older you get,
Yeah.
the more you tend to appreciate the things you took for granted. You always appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you always... I go to play soccer on a Friday night
Yeah.
with guys my age, right? And people call me Madala now. I'm talking about Madala's calling me Madala. I'll tell you that story in a minute. You
Nah,
know,
I had a
I'm
grown
gonna
man
laugh.
called me uncle the other day. I was very
Oh, it's the
distraught.
beginning of the end.
I was
I'm
just
telling
like,
you now.
Your beard is bigger than mine, bro. How can you call me uncle?
No, check this. I went to buy my mother flowers last year.
Yeah.
Last year. No, 2 years ago. So I buy flowers and I go like, you know what, let me put this together and put like paper around and make a new full bouquet. So I go across to the crazy store to get some paper. So the lady behind the counter, she goes like, "It's your birthday?" I said, "No, it's my mother. It's a gift." So I said, "Yes, it's a gift." She said, "For who?" So I said, "It's for my mother." So she looks up without thinking. She goes like, "Your mother's still alive." This is a true story. Your mother's still alive. I'm like, "How old do you think I am?" I shouldn't have asked her that because she answered.
What did you say?
She said, "Oh, like 60 something." You know what I mean? I'm like, "Fuck, dude, like."
You have that advertising mileage on you, man.
Yo, no, and everywhere I go, right? Everywhere I go. So it's a thing. It's a thing. Even we were on our way to Zam, we got stopped by the cops or whatever.
Yeah.
The cop, who was probably in his 50s, was like, "Hey, Madala." I'm not used to. I'll never get used to it. But
Yeah.
with the older you get, right, you appreciate the little things. I think it's a function of getting older.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
it is, right? It is.
Yeah.
No, definitely. I also think it's hard. Somebody asked me the other day, what did you say to if you had 3 minutes to chat to 20-year-old Jason? What would you say to him? And I said, I'd say nothing. I said, firstly, that I was far too arrogant to listen to anything I've got to say. He thought he knew everything.
Yeah, for sure.
And he needs to bump his head. He needs to go make so many mistakes to be able to enjoy the life that I live. And if I tell him something, he's not going to make those mistakes, which means he's not going to learn the lessons, which means I'm not going to be here, because this Jason understands time. I think even the younger COVID, I think, helped everybody get a little bit closer to the appreciation of time, because we all lost people. I remember my big epiphany moment that will, I think, be clear in my mind till I die was the headline that said, COVID in South Africa has moved from a place where we were counting numbers, we're now in naming names. Yeah. And that was a big thing where, your mortality is linked directly to your appreciation of time. Yeah. And it was something that I was able to deeply appreciate. Are you happy? And how important is it to you? And have you always been? Or is there a moment in your life where you kind of realized, I've got to change it? And if you're not, you're not.
No, that's a big question. I think I go from being happy to being absolutely miserable in a day, right? And I'm not copying out of your answer. But
no, that's the answer.
Yeah, if you ask me different days, I'll give you different things. I think mostly I'm frustrated because I always want more or better. I look at some people and they seem to be living in oblivion.
Yeah.
Like they seem like everything is cool, right? Like they got the wife and the dog and the kid and the job
they have
and
enough.
Whatever. And it's perception, obviously.
Yeah.
But it appears to affect them less than I feel it affects me.
Yeah.
So I'm constantly, and I'm a people pleaser as well, right? And that makes me happy, by the way.
Yeah. No,
it does me.
Yeah. So here's the thing: is like people go like people pleasing is a negative thing, right? And I went through that whole thing, going, I shouldn't be that guy. I must be more. But I love making people happy, right? So
I had that realization not long ago.
It's powerful.
I live a very selfish, selfless life. Like I do things for others all the time, but it's for me.
See,
it's not for you. I don't help you because I want to help you. I help you because it makes me feel good.
And there's nothing wrong with it.
But you're not a people pleaser.
No, I'm
you like pleasing people. I think there's a difference between somebody who likes pleasing people and somebody who is a people pleaser who almost feels obligated to please people. Because you are not as bad as me, for example. Maybe you're not, but I don't think you're as bad as me in terms of because I think there's a connection between people pleasing and the need to be liked by everyone, especially those that you engage with, or especially people that you like or respect, and that need for them to like you, which is a thing that I kind of struggle with and relate to. But what I'm trying to get to is I need to figure out what happiness is. I know that it's difficult. I know that it's fleeting. I had a chat with Stuart Taylor the other day, and he's in the city, and we meet on the Wednesday when he lands. We go for a haircut, go for a little drink, and he goes, Brian, the weirdest thing happened to me. And a friend of mine called me to say that his brother committed suicide, and the first thing my brain did was, lucky guy, at least he's out. And we didn't discuss it a lot at the time because we were having a beer. But then a couple of days later when I saw him, I was like, hey, bro, you were right. This sentence was playing in my head since I last saw you. It seemed like a week later. Are you okay? And he said to me exactly what you said. It just depends on what day. He said, no, if you ask me today, I'm devastated. I think it was the most selfish act ever that this O could have done. But when I heard about his suicide is where none of my invoices had been paid and month end was coming, and I was feeling that stress of the father in the house, the bills are coming. And he also said that it changes all the time, depending on the day. So what I'm aspiring to is to get to a place where I'm the biggest influence on how I feel, not the time of month, not my bank balance, not how many opportunities I currently do or don't have. And it may be an impossible task, but I don't think it's going to stop us from asking as many people that we perceive to be happy if they are. And if they are, what are they doing? How do we get more of that?
So I mean, because I've actually written about this stuff because I think a lot about it. And the one thing I think is that people imagine happiness to be a forever after, right?
Yes.
Like
You're
you
gonna-
achieve it
and
have
then
it.
you sit.
Yeah.
You are going to be happy for you.
Those are Nicholas's words.
Same,
Yeah.
same as in relationships, right?
Yes.
And I think that's a misnomer that causes the frustration. So there's a part of me that goes, collect as many little happy moments as you can, and if it tips the scale, then you are happy.
Yeah.
That's
That's the thing. Because the overall, because you're never going to get to a point of pure happiness.
Never. And people
forever.
know this, but they still strive for it.
Yes. And disappoint themselves every time.
Correct. The other thing is, like, happiness is perceived to be elation, right?
Yeah.
Euphoria.
Yeah.
And by nature, euphoria burns out, whether it's artificial
Always.
or it's natural.
Always.
But it's the Red Bull
Yeah.
of emotions.
Yeah.
The thing for me is, if for me, I equate happiness with peace, right? Happiness for me is peace, and peace doesn't mean that everything is happy.
No.
Peace is acceptance. Check. If you accept that this is your lot, that there'll be better days, that this is these are little moments. If you come to acceptance,
Sometimes it's accepting that it is what it is.
you could be like and so here's an interesting thing going full circle here. Under that gazebo, after stressing myself because my hair was black 3 years ago, so was my beard. It was just in the gazebo that things changed.
Yeah,
Madala.
Yeah, no. But listen, I must tell you much more handsome
Under
than
the
the
gazebo.
I must tell you.
Thanks.
You look also like extra
They
bucks.
used to
Like I
say-
thought you were
They
rich
used to
before.
say salt and pepper.
Yes, no, no,
Now
I'm
it's just salt.
man pepper. Man.
I've got, but I can't show the pepper. Anyway, so this is so when I was sitting there, and I got to a point where like, what do I do? Do I sell? How do I? And I got like days,
Yeah.
weeks. Then it was Black Lives Matter that happened around the same time. So it was and COVID and people we know, my cousin died, right? We grew up together. She was maybe 2 years younger than me. So all this stuff happened, but it came to a point, and this is where my faith came in very handy.
Yeah.
Where I went like, there's a bigger plan that I have no idea
Or control.
or control over. And in that moment, and I remember clearly, I sat in a plastic garden chair under the thing, and I
Yeah.
had a little table that I put my computer on. And at that moment, I realized that it's out of my control. And suddenly I felt absolute peace. So my circumstances hadn't changed one
Yes.
bit.
Yes.
People were dying around me.
It was
I
still
didn't
the
have
same.
a job. I had no prospect. Nothing.
Yeah.
But I had accepted. So technically, in that moment, I found my happiness. Because once that happened and I accepted it, it was the absence of fear, absence of anger, absence of all the other
Yeah.
negative
Doubt,
emotions.
anxiety, all of them.
All of them. Left me with one thing, peace, and peace is happiness. So this is why you'll see, and I said I came from Zim, where some of the
Yeah.
areas really poor people,
Yeah.
all of those things. I've been to Mozambique, where you drive through those villages.
Yeah, we've
Yeah.
been there.
And those people look happy now. You feel bad to say it, but
Yeah.
why? Because there's a certain level of peace that they've achieved.
Yes.
Whether it's their lot or whatever. And that may be seen as a very negative thing. But for me, the alternative is you're gonna spend your entire life chasing the dragon and never finding it. Which means you are constantly at angst with yourself.
Yes.
Therefore, even if you have euphoric moments,
You believe.
you can never accept that you are happy. Am I right? So for me, that's what I tussle with every day. And while I say this now and I believe it, tomorrow something will happen, and for a moment it'll take me completely away from
Yeah.
this thinking.
But it's exactly so. I love that analogy of the tipping scale, because I get teased a lot about being this ambassador for happiness and this advocate for happiness and trying to just push be happy, be happy, be happy, be happy, be happy. And then I have to explain to people that no, I'm not this kumbaya guy. They think I'm one of those kumbaya guys, a hippie. And I'm like, no, I'm not saying I don't have bad days. I'm not saying I don't get angry. But I'm saying when I take a step back, because I think, we've got to be present, but we also can't be focused only on what's happening now.
correct.
So then I say, when I zoom out, if I have a look at the picture through a wide lens, am I happy with the overall arc of the picture? Because there's got to be bad to help me appreciate good. So it can't just be euphoria all of the time. That's why euphoria has to burn out, because otherwise we wouldn't appreciate it the way we did if it was just a constant. But it's about taking that step back The final question I'm going to ask you before we do the Goliath Happiness Index is, did you notice, was there an immediate change in your life after that realization under the gazebo?
Yeah, complete change. Complete change in, okay, well, when we say life, we talk about two major aspects of life, is work and other.
Yeah.
On the work front, I knew the things I didn't want to do, the
Yes.
things that didn't bring me peace. So in that moment, there was a decision that I won't do that anymore, which led to what I'm doing now. And by the way, talking of happiness, good theme, I am the happiest I've ever been in my career.
There we go.
And that's the last 3 years out of 26 or 27 years. And there's a whole bank of reasons why I'm happy, all some of the things that I mentioned. That's the one thing. On the other side, which becomes more balanced, because if you've got something that's working in your life,
Yeah.
right, then when something sometimes is not working, you have a certain amount of balance to fall back on.
Yeah.
I think people sometimes get into a place where both aspects of their life, their livelihood
Yeah.
and their lives, are both out of kilter. And that's a dangerous place,
Very.
right? Because nothing works. Then you've got to have patience.
Which
Right.
is so hard in that moment.
It is.
Yeah.
It's possible, which is also resignation to the fact that something better will come that you
Yes.
are unaware of.
Yes.
That's faith.
That's
Yes.
where the
The
faith
unseen,
comes in.
right? And I'm so grateful, I believe. Because if I didn't have belief,
Where would you be?
sure. Like, if you don't believe that there's a higher power that can sort your shit out for you, that has your best
Then you
interest at
believe
heart,
you're all on your own.
well, then you have to solve
Yeah.
everything yourself, and then it's dangerous.
But you
right?
also have to believe, even if you believe in the higher power, you have to believe that the higher power is not just going to sort your problems
you
out.
can't
You have to
sit
get up and go, and he'll assist you in sorting out problems out, but
Yeah.
you have to be doing the work.
No, totally.
Which is a thing we also speak
Yeah.
about often, where there's too many people that go to their religious institutions to just pray for the
No, it's not
So
gonna
it's
fall
the
out.
DJ's book
solution.
code.
Yeah.
I don't think God. I don't think my perception of God is, He doesn't respect that.
No.
You can't.
No.
You can't respect if we're in His likeness. You cannot respect another human being that expects you to come fall on His lap. So I
Yeah.
don't think it works in that way. And you're right. You got to make the effort, right?
Yeah.
But then knowing that if it doesn't work out, it was meant to not work out or lead you somewhere, right? The stepping stones. We know this. You make mistakes in your
Yeah.
life, mistakes,
Yeah.
regrets, but you find your way to a better place.
And you've learned.
And you've learned along the
And you
way.
get
not
to
to
that
do
better
it.
place with all of that information, all
Yeah.
of that experience.
Exactly. Or you know exactly what not to do the next time, or what you dislike,
And
or
what you don't want.
Figuring out who you are, what you like, what you want, what you don't want. That's just the path of life, eh?
You've added such a beautiful layer here for us. So far, it's been acceptance as the founding. If we look at Maslow's
where to
hierarchy, where food is the basic human need, the basic need for happiness is acceptance first. So I used to think it was gratitude, but I'm almost 100% sure now that it first starts with acceptance, then gratitude, and then being able to manage your optimism, which is directly linked to faith, as you've said. So the Goliath Happiness Index is as follows: 1 to 5, 1 being terrible, 5 being amazing. And we're asking you, where are you on those three things? So acceptance, in terms of accepting who, what, where, why you are. Is it my fault? Gratitude, are you able to wake up every morning first grateful for the things you have? And I know that you spoke about that cup of coffee before you stress about the things you don't. And then where are you optimism-wise? So acceptance, 1 to 5.
So acceptance 1 to 5. I think I'm at the 5 extreme. I don't think you can ever get to
Yeah.
the 5. So let's go to a 4.
Yes. As high as you can get. That's what you
I think that's most acceptance I've ever had. The gratitude, I think as human beings, it's our nature to forget very quickly.
Yeah.
So I think on a good day, I'm sitting at a 3.5
Yeah.
of gratitude, more than I've had before. I'm in a very fortunate place.
Nice.
And optimism also. I'm happy. Optimism, so optimism it's got a scale in itself, right? So when I was 22 years old, what I wanted to achieve,
Yeah.
and how much I believed I could achieve
Yes.
those things, it was different to what I want to achieve now.
Yeah.
Look, there are some things that I've accepted, maybe I'm back at the bottom,
No, we were.
that I'll never have,
Yes.
that I always dreamt of.
Yes.
But I'm okay with it, right? So it removed the frustration. So my optimism now, my goals are more considered than they were when I was 20.
Of course.
And so I'm fairly optimistic. I'm sitting at a 3.5 to 4 on optimism about my life. And the interesting thing is, the stuff is not big. You know, the things that I want, the
Yeah.
optimism
That you
to
wanna
achieve
achieve.
those.
It's simple.
That's the maybe that's
As you
the
said.
maybe that's the thing, is when you reassess the stuff,
Yeah.
then you can be more optimistic. And maybe that sounds a bit negative and a bit defeatist, but like I think we
I
have
think it's
pipe-
realistic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
I was
have
gonna
pipe
say.
dreams. I had a rough stage. If we had this conversation a few years ago, it was dark, man.
I saw you through that time. I mean, I've always admired you from afar. I've always wished that that I had more time to pick your brain, because I just find you to be one of the most fascinating minds I've ever had the fortune of meeting.
Thanks, Jason. High praise make me
No,
This guy will
bro.
make-
No, because
He'll
I'm
make you
still,
burst
I'm still,
into tears,
Yeah,
this guy.
I'm still trying to figure stuff out, and that's another thing. It's not humility. It's just like I say, like sometimes I put those quotes out, right, and they actually got me to a point. Even my dear strangers, which is the third thing that I do, right? It's all on the
Yes.
same platform.
Yes.
But even that sometimes is a note to self.
I think they should all be in some way.
Correct.
You're talking to yourself, because
Never
you
talking
speak
to
about your
someone
love for
else.
words. I love words, but I also have grown to love their power.
Yes.
But if you don't articulate them, either verbally or write them down, you strip their power.
Yeah, exactly.
And there is deep power in articulation, and that's why I was so fascinated by, because it's not just words. Like when you gotta go and follow Ahmed, go and read those things, and you'll see that you're not eating 2-minute noodles.
No,
You're
so-
eating Gordon Ramsay is busy here. Like
Yeah.
this is, you know what I mean? This is not just the best possible
Yeah.
word, the best possible placement, the depth of consideration, and then in triplicate for no reason.
Yeah,
But 3
no,
different colors. Just in case blue, you don't want to read
Yeah,
these words in
but,
blue. Here's another purple.
So I
for
had
you.
an interesting conversation with Tats a couple of days ago about the same thing, about how do you teach patience to someone who's young.
Yeah.
And the conversation led to, because we learn these words as kids, like, you know, the thing about if you don't believe, you won't achieve. You know, like you
Yes,
hear these
yes.
words when you're in your early
But you don't
days
know
or
what they
your
mean.
youth, and there's no appreciation, and then you get to a point where the words start to make sense. It's not just words now;
it's
they're
experience.
actually
It's experience.
experience.
and that's the thing. So it's the experience that those words have for you. Those words mean to you, because somebody else reading the same words, they're just 3 different color words on a
Yeah.
page. This bra's got nothing better to do
Yeah,
than highlight
exactly.
3 different color statements.
Uh,
So it's about you've got to be in the right space to read those
receive.
words, to receive the message.
So it's interesting, right? Because the feedback I get on those things, whenever I do get,
Yeah.
they go like, people say like, it resonates with me. That's the first thing
Yeah.
they say. But they sometimes say it feels as though you have spoken from my mind.
yes.
So that's a similar, common lived experience,
Yeah.
right? So I got a profile.
Yeah.
Desperate Housewives. That's the type women and men who are in their 40s
Yeah.
resonate, which is your point.
Yeah.
A 20-year-old couldn't resonate the same way
No.
that someone who has lived a very similar experience,
Yeah.
lived experience as mine, will be able to resonate to. So it's exactly that. Those words are thoughts that are bubbling around my head that I need to spit out because I need to resolve it. Or sometimes I need to feel a different way. So I need to talk to myself.
Engineering
Change
your
your
own
own
mood.
So I have to engineer, exactly. And sometimes it requires it because I went through, like most people, go through different phases where it's like it's dark, you can't see the light, whatever. And you got 2 choices. You either fight through it or you live with it.
Yeah.
You live through it,
Yes.
if you know what I mean, right?
Yes.
And I have found that fighting through it is futile
Mm.
because it's a superficial way of getting out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you're not getting through it. You're lying to yourself that you're ahead of where you actually are, right? So the writing, sometimes I'll just pause. Oh, you won't see me write because I'm not feeling it. And sometimes I use the writing to live through it. You know what I mean? And it's amazing. I say I love the power of words because they help me. They help me and they help others. And so words are amazing, man.
I'm a fan of your words.
Thank you, Jason.
Is what I'm a fan of. I can't thank you enough for taking your time to come and share some of your insights. I could honestly, I've got so many topics. I just feel like you're one of those guys that it doesn't matter the problem I presented. You've got a lived experience somewhere there in the back corner.
We can be confused together. That's what helps.
Yeah. Yes.
Sorry to interrupt you. I know you're closing up, but it's amazing. It's amazing when you have a problem. We have this tendency to have to figure it out and sort it out inside, right? So we don't share our problems because you don't want to be the whining bitch.
Guilty.
And you don't want to be that person.
You don't want to be weak.
You don't want to be weak. And men,
especially when people are looking to you for strength.
Exactly.
You can't be the
But
weak.
I find just telling someone, and I'm not like this is one of the things I'm going to need to work on.
Yeah.
I'm not a person that's I use my platform.
Yeah.
Very anonymously.
Yes.
And secretively dealing with my shit.
Yeah.
But like when you tell someone any problem, like a practical thing or an emotional thing, in telling someone, you're already figuring your answer out, right?
Yeah.
How often you're saying it and you're going like, shit, this is actually not a big problem.
Yeah, Jason and I often have conversations where midway through the conversation, one of us will go, I'm actually not saying this to you. I'm just saying it more for me, just so that I've never verbalized these things. So just
I'm not
just let me
lecturing
have
you. I'm
this
lecturing
moment.
myself.
Yeah.
I'm lecturing myself. How do we create more platforms for these conversations? Because I think many people have tried to get men to share and talk and. Because I think we've got, I often find myself, I sit with something for so long. I met a brother the other day, I wish I could remember his name now. Hein, he's the fastest blind man in the world. He's done Cape Epic, he's done the highest speed driving. South African born, lives in Sweden. And I meet this guy by chance because we're performing at the same conference, and we happened to land at the same time, so we shuttled together. And I've learned, as you know, if I've in the presence of a mind that I deem to have experiences that are different to mine, or knowledge on a topic that I'm interested in that's greater than mine, I wanna absorb that information because I don't read, and that's the way I learn. And a 20-minute drive from King Shaka to Zimbali, which is like 25-minute drive. We make friends for 10 minutes. Eventually I realize, okay, this guy's the real deal. Yeah. And I go, hey, can I ask you a question based on what he said? I've been sitting with it seemed to me like this massive business problem and opportunity that if I could find a way to unpack this, I would, get great success. I tell this guy this thing in a 2-minute thing, and he answers me in 40 seconds and blows my mind. Gives me all of the answers I've been searching for 2 years. I couldn't unpack this thing. So I couldn't unpack this thing for 2 years, and he sorts it out for me in literally under a minute, but only because he's been through the 2 years. He'd been through all of that work to try and figure it out, and if I didn't ask him, I would have still been struggling. So it's that being able to be vulnerable, share, talk. I don't know how we do it.
I met a guy who does. They travel around the world. They did part of a thing called the human aspect, and we interviewed him on the thing with Sam on Mix. And he made a statement about this, that men don't share their problems. That, you always want to carry things. Then he said, when you die, you get no trophies for carrying all the weight by yourself. You get nothing. But while you are here, you're struggling. The people that are around you that care about you can't help you because you're not willing to share. And then it's so aside from the creating the platforms, about changing the mindset to go, it's okay to discuss and open up about the
But that's something the platform should be a vehicle to change mindsets.
Definitely.
But anyway, that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah, but I think we started it. And I just want to end off on that thing to say, I mean, this conversation, my late dad and his friends would never have had.
Exactly.
So we're moving somewhere.
And I'll take that. I'll take that. Yeah, we are moving somewhere, because I didn't think about it like that. Because our fathers would never have sat down and had this conversation.
Conversation about happiness. There was no time to think about happiness. They were working. They had to do what they had to do. They had struggles. They had.
I mean, there was time for them to drink every weekend. There was time. They just
but they were
not
drinking to get rid of the week that they had.
Yeah.
We
no, but
drink to celebrate.
It's still they were just men didn't do that.
No, I get you, and I'm not disputing. I'm just saying, like, I agree that I also think that we are in a place of privilege to see the happiness and then be able to break it down and understand how we got here.
Yeah.
Because we come from a place where our fathers didn't speak about those things.
For sure.
So I think that's that I'm also just saying for myself.
Boss, I want to say again, thank you for your time. Wishing you every success and all of the happiness. Are you going to write a book? Are you going to put all of these thoughts in one place?
If I get that Kevin, that my optimism is going to take me to. I want to write, but like imposter syndrome, all those things, I would love to write something. I don't know what I'd write about.
Yeah.
The stuff that I've posted, I have lots of people who've asked me to publish it, so I'm looking maybe, I don't know how to go about it, but I'm looking maybe to publish that stuff, but I'd love to write. But you need to know what you're writing about. That'll take me another 5 years to
But what I've learned is start. Don't wait to know what you're going to write about, because you'll never write the book.
You're right.
Is just start writing something, and that will inform you, because you're too proud to put out something average. Just and you have technically started, but I'm just saying, just take your journal for yourself as well. But that thing of I know the rules, and there's no point in starting unless I'm very clear, because I'm good at the thing. I know how to do the thing, and if I don't have an objective. But I think one of my biggest life lessons has been Dala.
Yeah,
start, because you're a proud, experienced man. You're not going to put out something. It'll maybe be for you. But I think also we put too much pressure. Like, I'm not asking you to write a #1 bestseller.
Yeah.
I'm saying that just like I need your Instagram, there are many Jasons that need your words.
Thank you.
Then just make sure you don't die with your words, is what I'm saying. Just don't be selfish. And
you're right.
Take the words.
Leave the words with us.
Take the words that you've been putting out that people have suggested and tell them your story around those words. I think that's a nice,
it's a good idea,
nice starting place.
That's
why these words are.
Because I feel like it will reveal itself. It will.
I hope so, man. Thanks for the
why will
vote
reveal.
of confidence.
But Nabrap, you.
The same reason we started this is that
me.
just people need to hear about this stuff.
Yeah, and talk about it.
And if we're not doing it, maybe somebody else will do it. Maybe not.
No.
So if you've got the words that have helped you, there's somebody that's waiting to read those words, to see those words, to hear the story. So,
and I also hope that people speak about me when I'm not in the room, like people speak about you.
Oh man,
because that's why my I mean, like I say, we've had very few conversations, just the two of us. But I was at school with Maxine, who spoke. I'll never forget. So the day I met you, I see Maxine works here. We have a small chat, and I go, "Hey, how's this Bali?" And it was the look in her eyes. She was just like, "No, that's a great man. That's not just that's a great man." And the way I think Donovan Goliath has a crush on you. I've got to be
and he's living in my area now, so I must be careful.
You see, no wonder he moved there. No wonder. It all makes sense. He didn't live close to us. He moved further from us. It's all coming together.
Thanks, man. That's high praise. Thank you very much, guys.